Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Today we need to talk about NVIDIA DLSS or Deep Learning Super Sampling, which, as many of you enthusiasts out there probably know, was revealed back last year, what was it, July or August, when they announced the RTX cards. And since then, DLSS has pretty much been nothing but a promise, kind of like ray tracing was at the beginning, and we finally got to see that in Battlefield 5. It's now available in Metro Exodus, and DLSS was available in Metro Exodus as soon as it came out, and it was also added into Battlefield 5 late last week, giving our real first look at DLSS. Now, it's been in a couple of benchmarks up until now. It was in the Port Royale benchmark back in January, which I covered, and I praised as giving over 90% performance improvement, and it looked really friggin' good. It also looked really good in the Final Fantasy 15 benchmark that it was in. However, with both of those, we were looking at a very controlled instance, which would obviously make it easier for AI to be able to learn where the different edges are in the scene, because nothing is ever changing. It's just a static run. It's completely on rails. And I said back when I covered that in Port Royale that I was interested to see if it could keep up with something like Battlefield 5 or Metro Exodus, and we could actually see it where it's in a different environment where the AI cannot predict all of the different frames that would be on screen because the player is obviously controlling the camera. And yes, it does provide a decent performance improvement, maybe not 90% and up, but it gives about a 40% in performance improvement, which NVIDIA even put in their own marketing material over on the NVIDIA GeForce page. However, even though it does offer a 40% performance improvement, it sadly gives a almost 100% subjectively reduction in how it looks. It looks completely awful. It is a straight up blur fest. I mentioned this in my video on, I think it was Friday or Thursday on Metro Exodus, where I was doing my optimization guide, and I showed this image on the screen here where you can see this is just the title screen, so there's nothing changing here. This was captured at native 4K resolution at a high bit rate, and you can clearly see with DLSS turned on the right versus the left, it's a blur. It's like someone took a whole entire container of Vaseline and smeared it over the screen. The letters on the word chapters are very blurry, and just the whole image, just the entire image becomes significantly softer compared to what you can see on the native 4K side. And I would say it even looks worse than, say, just playing at 1440p, which DLSS is using. So if you play at 4K, it's effectively rendering that game at 1440p and then applying 64 times multi-sampling using the tensor cores on your NVIDIA RTX card, and it results in a much softer image. I would say it even looks worse than 1080p. It looks really bad, and I would personally never use this in a game. And I don't want to have this come off as just straight up RTX hate. I use an RTX 2080 Ti in my main system, and I absolutely love it. Now, I do use ray tracing in Metro Exodus because in a game like that, single player, very atmospheric, it definitely adds a lot to the experience of the single player, and I'm in a fortunate position that I can even play with that at 4K on like ultra settings with RTX on, and it runs very well for me, and I'm getting great performance because I like my RTX 2080 Ti. It's great for playing on a 4K HDR monitor and really driving, I think, probably one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had in my life when it comes to just, you know, having the full-on monitor set up with the HDR and the graphics card and being able to push everything that I want to see. It's incredible. But I think we can all agree that RTX cards have been under fire from the public a lot for things like their pricing being what many people would argue would be too high, even though the regular rasterization performance is incredible, especially on the flagship 2080 Ti. But then having things like ray tracing having such a large performance impact in something like Battlefield 5 at launch, where it was really tough to run. Thankfully, optimization has gotten a lot better on Battlefield 5, and Metro Exodus actually runs really well in the actual in-game experience when you are using ray tracing. So some things have gotten better, but it still hasn't changed, you know, that original first impression that RTX left on gamers, which being too expensive, not having RTX at launch, not having DLSS at launch. All of these factors made people want to wait, and now the final thing that they had promised, DLSS, I think is maybe the final nail in the coffin for RTX cards, possibly for many people out there that were maybe thinking about it, or maybe they already had a bad opinion about it in the first place. This could just be, like I said, that final nail in the coffin. And with Battlefield 5 also getting DLSS, NVIDIA released their own video where they showed the performance improvements, which are good. It shows good performance improvements. However, the image of Battlefield 5 looks absolutely horrible. I got a few select screenshots that I chose from their run here where they showed it side by side with TAA versus DLSS on, and you could see in certain areas it's just awful. Like, look, I mean, not certain areas, all areas. This is on the map Twisted Steel. You can see this slab of concrete on your screen on the left side with TAA, on the right side with DLSS. The textures on these, and this is zoomed in, by the way, so yes, this is zoomed in. This is not like native, like pulled all the way out. Both of these would look a little bit better if it was pulled out at full res, but I wanted to zoom this in to really show you the detail, and you can see everything in this image is softer with DLSS on. You could see the side textures on this slab of concrete. You can at least see where there would be texture there, whereas on the right, it's just a complete blur. It looks like it's being rendered at like 1366 by 768, maybe even 480p. I don't know, it's bad. Look at these, what are these called? I know they're used to stop tanks and vehicles, but I don't know exactly what these things are called back here. But yeah, there's almost no definition whatsoever on the object with the fine lines around the edges, as well as some of the, what are these, struts on the bridge? I don't know what they're called. I'm not a freaking engineer. These, basically everything looks bad, okay? Look at the, I don't even know if you can tell that that's an oil drum on the right side here, whereas over here you can at least tell it's an oil drum. Over here, I don't know what that is. It's basically a big smudge. Looking at this sign here on the map, Rotterdam, you could see with fine text, just like with the word chapters on Metro Exodus, it just gets even worse. You know, you could read the main word there. You can kind of make out the word hotel on the left, but then the stuff on the right, completely illegible. You might be able to figure out what the one on the left, but yeah, it's bad. Here with this vehicle, again, this is on the Twisted Steel map. We could see a burning car on the left side. You can make out some fine lines on the side of the vehicle, which, you know, give a little bit of detail to it, whereas on the right, complete and utter blur fest. Vaseline, straight up Vaseline. Now, NVIDIA has said in a post that they will be improving the look of DLSS over time and maybe reducing this blur factor, but they haven't said by how much. And with just how far you know, these comparisons are from one another without DLSS and with DLSS on, I'm not really very confident that NVIDIA can close that gap enough to make using DLSS worth it. Even if you're getting 100% performance improvement, the aesthetics and the look of it are just hot garbage. So I do want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you watched this video, I mean, I should have said this at the beginning, but maybe I'll put a watermark somewhere, but I do encourage you to watch the side-by-side stuff, you know, at full screen on a monitor if possible, so you can really, you know, see these details. I'm not sure how well it would show up on something like, you know, an iPhone or an Android or some type of mobile device. You know, I would suggest watching it on a monitor, full screen, you know, up close, so you can really see those details, because if you're playing a game like this on PC with DLSS, that's how you're going to actually be playing it. And when you are playing these games, it is immediately apparent when DLSS is on, because everything just starts to get washed out and look really, really blurry. Have I said blur enough in this video? I think I have. So I'm going to get out of here. As I said, I want to know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new at all, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on it down below. Subscribe if you're not already. And if you have been here for a while, you can ring the notification bell. That way you never miss a moment of blurry DLSS content as soon as it goes up live here on the channel. And I'll catch you guys next time. Learn to code. I mean, Terra. Sorry. Memes.